failure is an illusion. It is a concept that humans created to sort of explain why we don't get the things that we want in life. But here's the thing. Anytime that you chase after the desires of your heart, you will end up going on epic journeys that perfectly position you to carry out your mission in this life. Now, this has never been more evident than in my conversations with this week's guest, Mr. Rawn Davis. You see, Rawn is a father, he is a triathlete, and he is a coach. But before he went on this epic mission to help millions of people of color become their best selves, he actually was a man who couldn't even swim. And I don't know how you run triathlons if you can't even swim. So join me as we talk more about his story of becoming and how he leveraged those experiences to become the man that he is today.
This is Fit for Show. This is Fit for Show. We're going to give you all the information you need to live a mentally fit, spiritually fit, and physically fit life. Let's do it. This is Fit for Show. And here's your host, Amber.
Hey everybody, it's your girl Amber, and of course, I am the host of Fit for Show. Now, I have a very special guest with me here today, but before I bring him on out, I just want to remind you that if you love watching my episodes, go on over to my YouTube channel and make sure that you like and subscribe to the content so you never miss a beat. And of course, hit that bell icon. Or if you prefer to hear the audio version of this podcast, you can go to my website at www.fitforshow.com. Now, enough of that. Let's just jump right into today's episode. I'm really thrilled to have a very good friend of mine, Mr. Rawn Davis, who is the president and CEO of Hype or Die Endurance Club. Welcome to today's podcast. Thanks for joining me in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
I really wanted to bring Rawn in because I met him about 2 years ago because we have this mutual love for all things health and wellness. Better late than never. It took a whole lot of ass before I got him out here, but really happy to finally make this happen. I mean, it kind of took me 2 years to get the podcast together, so
that's
there
fine.
you
Sometimes
go.
It needs to slow roll like that. Like people got to figure things out on both ends, and I do that a lot too. By the way, I hit up somebody who I see might be doing great things or doing great things in the making, and I feel like I'm always in the making. So I just want to put the plug in their ear, like while I have them in the moment. Like we need to do something awesome together at some point in time.
Well, I mean, I think the feeling is mutual. You built HDEC from the ground up. I mean, when you started it, obviously, it was just you. So kind of tell me about that. Like, what brought you to that moment where you're saying, you know what, New Orleans needs another running club. Why this one?
The feeling came from I was doing a lot of long runs solo, and I'm very okay living in that space, just running by myself for miles and hours, all the things. That gets boring, but it doesn't bother me. But it got boring, and I kept encountering people who kept saying they couldn't do that. Oh my, I don't know how you run a marathon. I can never do that. I don't know how you run 2 miles. I could never do that. So the boredom mixed with the self-doubters, I was like, wait a minute. I need some people to come run with me. So it'd be great to have running friends.
Yeah.
2, it'd be awesome to enlighten people and just let them know of their own potential. Because I started there where I thought 1 mile was like was long distance to me. That was like I'm going to pack a lunch and I'm gonna go for this 1 mile run and I'd be back in like 10 minutes. And like, whoo, that took everything. But I came from that. I came from that start to where I thought it was impossible and I just had to keep chipping away at it. So I wanted to bring that to other people, that if you just believe in yourself, understand what you're doing, work towards perfecting that craft of how to do it, how to enjoy it, how to do it efficiently, then you can get to a place where it's not as much of a nightmare as people make it out to be. And other running clubs, they already have that. They already have runners. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to tap into people who didn't think they could do it.
Didn't they? So you wanted to take it beyond running because, I mean, truth be told, Hype or Die is more than just a running club. You know, you got swimmers in there. You got people from all walks of life. You know, you're not just running.
Yeah, no, we have runners, cyclists, swimmers, under the umbrella of triathletes. So in triathlon, you have swimming, cycling, and running. But because of that, you find yourself in circles of only runners and only cyclists and only swimmers. We have some kite flyers. We have origami specialists. Just kidding. We don't do that.
I was like, maybe there's something I don't know. I'm like, okay, continue.
No, so yeah, we have something for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, it's a club for all people, all walks of life.
Yes.
But let's be real, though. You didn't start there. I know you said you started there, but your story doesn't really start there. You have this incredible story of becoming. When you start talking about wanting to take the scary out of endurance sports, that comes from a different reason, because you didn't just start out doing triathlons or just running. Like, I've been an athlete my whole life. I started out at 5 years old playing soccer, being highly involved in activities since the point I was 5 years old. But you started out much later in life. So take me back. I think you said it was 2012 was when this story begins?
2012 was ish. 2011, 2012 was a time frame that I started applying myself towards a Navy SEAL officer application in the Navy. I was enlisted into the Navy in 2006, right after Hurricane Katrina. And I started putting my efforts towards transitioning from enlisted to the officer ranks by way of being a Navy SEAL officer.
But why Navy SEALs? I mean, the many careers that you could have gone into. What made you go, you know what? This is the thing that I want to do.
That wasn't the first thing. So the thing I wanted to do was become an astronaut. So I started out not knowing what I wanted to do. I was in college, didn't know which direction I wanted to take my life. Started thinking about the cool jobs that's out there and what we see as like epic positions. Like people usually say it doesn't take rocket science. So I was thinking, well, who are the rocket scientists? Who are the brain surgeons that's out there? So I made up some rough generalized statistics of, and probably very incorrect, that 10% of people out there that land those positions are probably born geniuses. Like, they're probably just very smart brainiacs that can do that type of stuff. But that can't be everybody. So the other 90% made up in my head were people that just sat down, picked a path, stuck with it, did the work. You know, they saw everything in between as a means to an end. So I started thinking, well, what's a pathway that I can take that would lead to an epic role? Be an astronaut. Let's do it. I thought about a few different things. Astronaut. I want to get from planet Earth to the fucking moon. Let's do it. So, I mean, people are out there doing it. There's astronauts. It's a whole job. So why not? So I'm already in the Navy, joined as a reservist to be able to finish college and get my degree. So I'm enlisted, working towards a degree. There's a pathway to become an officer. One of the requirements is you have to have a degree. So I'm thinking, all right, what better way to become an astronaut than by first being a naval pilot? Get some credentials. What better credentials than being a naval pilot? We all saw Top Gun. It's awesome. Yeah. So I'm gonna make that happen. Then apply to NASA. Get to the moon. We're on our way.
Simple plan.
This is my thinking.
Yeah, simple plan.
So that didn't work out too well because the application to be a naval pilot, you had to be out of officer commissioning school and flight school by the age of 27. I was 27 at the time of applying. So that was already a cancellation of my eligibility. So and things were already happening for me to position myself to get there. So I had to kind of put that on pause, but that just led to the next thing. You know, it wasn't over there just because I couldn't do that. I could still become a naval officer and have those credentials, get me to NASA, get me to the moon. So I went for the next program that was available and I was eligible for, which was Explosive Ordnance Disposal, EOD for short. That's, think Navy SEALs and bombs. There you go. So I'm applying for that. I'm prepping myself to be eligible for that, which meant I had to learn how to swim. I did not know how to swim at all. I knew how to get myself out of water, which got me through basic training in the Navy, but I didn't know how to swim. So I had to get a swim coach, and they assigned me one. It was a first-class petty officer rescue swimmer. This guy is telling me to do all kind of stuff in the water, and I'm like, hey, buddy, stop it.
Yeah, you got to start off with minnows.
I don't know how to float, all those things. I need that. and he wasn't hearing me. So I went and got a coach on the side from Red Cross, Dr. Heidi Lovett, who I am still very close friends with today, and she's a part
amazing person.
We actually just did a relay Ironman in North Carolina. Anyway, so she's like my coach on the side of my coach, because again, I'm committed. These are all means to an end. I got to get to the moon. So I'm running to the pool, swimming with one coach. That class is over. I swim with the next coach, and I do that daily. And as I'm waiting for, it's like you have a application package that gets into a board convene date. So waiting for my board to convene with my package, I'm still swimming, still working out, still doing other things. My swim time gets faster. So I'm more applicable to the Navy SEAL side of the house because my swim time is faster and all the other stuff I have is still aligned with becoming an officer. Right. So the recruiter's like, hey, do you want to be a Navy SEAL? Because, I mean, you swim faster now. And I'm like, yeah, that'll get me to the moon. Let's do it. Is what I'm thinking. So that's how that came about. That wasn't the first thing off the bat was like, let's be a Navy SEAL. You know, it was by way of let's be an astronaut.
And you know, I love the way that you're thinking about it, because a number of people would go through those experiences and they wouldn't see that natural progression. They would just label it as a failure and then go, I didn't really get what I want. I didn't quite land on the moon. But it's that story of becoming. That is the reason why there is HDEC today. That's HDEC true. Doesn't exist without you first attempting to go to the moon. It's almost like, hey, aim for the moon. If you fall short, you're still a lot further than where you might have intended to be. And I'm also a big believer that when you have a strong desire, no matter what that desire is, the universe does not have a choice but to comply with that. And Very true. I think where most people mess up is that they don't know what the actual desire is. They would have looked at this and said, his desire is to go to the moon. And I'm like, no, the desire was not to go to the moon. The desire was to do something pretty epic. The moon was a means to the end, to your point. And so the universe didn't have a choice but to comply with your heart's desire, which was to do something pretty epic. And so now you are doing something pretty epic, not only for yourself, but you're opening up doors so that other people can also do pretty epic things.
Yeah, definitely. And that's completely the nail on the head, because after years and years of just continuously pushing forward, the moon just became figurative. Mm-hmm. You know, get to the moon is just get to whatever destination of a goal is ahead of me. Whatever it is, I'm smashing it. Because on a way to making myself eligible for these positions, if you don't understand it, not being in the Navy and ever applying for these kinds of things, you have to get letters of recommendation from very high officials, government and military. You have to give yourself to community service constantly, but not just a part of community service. You have to lead community service. They want to see leadership. So the connections, the volunteering, the give back, everything just kept pushing me further in my naval career. So while I'm aiming for this one thing, it's just shooting me past all competition in my normal everyday life. Mm-hmm. And once it's turned on, you can't stop it. And I went to SEAL training, didn't make the cut. I cried about it when I got back. True story. Mm-hmm. That hurts when you devote yourself day and night and for years. Yeah, it hurts when you don't get that thing. That was more real at that point than the astronaut thing, because I went there, I tasted it, I sweated. You know, it was weird. But so I got back, but regardless of the failure of it, it cracked my brain open, and I couldn't stop.
I love it.
To see and experience your potential brought to life. You know, like everything I did got me here, and now I'm doing some shit that a fraction of 1% of people will ever see to experience. And you get back and it's like, I'll never stop running. You don't know how long we ran out there. I'll never stop swimming because we swam for fucking hours. I'll never stop cycling because there's nothing out there. There's no thing that's out there that's tougher than me and my willpower. So I'm whatever you give me, I'm gonna demolish it. It might hurt. It might take a while. It might be ugly. But I'll see the end of it. So
I love it.
that's the kind of stuff that I came back with, and I had to give that to other people. And sometimes it's very difficult to explain that to a person who thinks they can't do a mile. It's
But
like, no.
stop
Please,
right there. So how do you do that for people?
What's that?
So how do you do that for people?
It's a lot of reading people, and I always tell people, I give a lot of quotes and motivational tidbits, and I tell them this is all about running. This has everything to do with running and nothing to do with running. And it's kind of like you have to break into the athlete psyche and the person's psyche before you could even attempt the run or the bike ride or the triathlon. Like there's so much personal exploration you have to do and accept, good, bad, and otherwise, before you even dive into the activity. So I usually try and feel a person out by way of conversation before the workout happens, you know?
So what do you tell a person? Because naturally, I'm sure just being the outgoing person that you are, like I'm an introvert. I don't just randomly talk to people like you do. Like you're the type of person, I believe we were at one of your boot camps. You're going to talk to the stranger who's walking through and so forth. So you meet somebody for the first time and they tell you that running is insane. I meant, how do you convey to a person who believes that this is like epic, crazy things that, yes, they too can do that? How do you take that scary out of the process?
Sometimes it's not about so much taking the scary or encouraging a person to take the scary out of the activity. Is helping them deal with the scary through a situation. So you're not removing it, but you're helping them work through the scary. There's a quote, I don't know who said it, but was it, courage isn't the absence of fear, is doing what's right in the presence of fear.
Oh,
so
like
courageous and brave people, they're scared as shit, but they work through it. They process it different, you know?
No, I mean, I think that's very true. Because I get nervous every time I turn on the camera and people watch my productions and they go, "Oh, you're so well spoken. You're so this." I said, "Do you know how many takes that I probably took before we did this?" And it's definitely, and certainly, you know, being a little bit removed from my athletic days, I do have those moments where, like, Amber, just don't pass out today. Like, don't pass out when you go run. Don't be the person that they've got to carry back to the finish line. Don't be the last person. Don't be the person picking up the cones at the race because you're the one in the end. So that's a perfect segue. I'd like to learn a little bit more about your club because I know your story. I know where you came from. I know how we got here, but why the name? Why Hype or Die? Not Hyper. Hyper Die. Where'd that come from?
I got to make that distinction quite often, but it's okay. I like saying it and reiterating it to people. So it came from my cousins, and I say that as New Orleans cousins. So Patrick Barry and Andrew Barry. Patrick is a professional fighter. He was with K1 Fight League, then he went over to UFC. Some of y'all might have heard of him, maybe not. I don't know. But as energy drinks started, and this is telling my age, like there was a handful of them. There wasn't like the plethora of energy drinks that they have now.
I can't say anything.
We would scour the country, literally looking for new energy drinks. A saying we had was "Get hype," and then that evolved into Hype or Die. And the premise behind that was do everything to the best of your ability, getting hype, or don't even bother. The or die part, right? Like you might as well be dead. If you're not doing it to the best of your ability, to its extreme, and we say that kind of metaphorically, not everything being extreme, but just being outgoing, or don't bother. Hype or die, you know? And it sounds harsh, but it's got a lot of parallels in a lot of different ways. Giving your all as far as your health, fitness, or the consequences is death by way of all the ailments that's out there. You know, there's a lot of scary things out there that our bodies are introduced to just from unhealthy lifestyles.
And I mean, speaking of scary, you know, we kind of talk about it a lot. Like, how do you take the scary out of this? I think it's far scarier to live a life out of sync, out of wellness, and to have to fight and deal with a debilitating disease. As someone who myself, I took care of my dad for many years while he battled cancer. That is so hard. It was so hard. I think to watch him struggle, and certainly it was not his fault,
Right.
but I do see a lot of people every single day who are victims of their diseasehood. And who could certainly correct that if they had a wellness regimen, if they just got up and moved in. And I think that there's this perception that you've got to do something crazy in order to be well, when in reality, sometimes it's just a matter of getting off the couch. I mean, I did your couch to 5K. Was it last year? Earlier this year? I don't know. It was earlier this year.
Oh, yeah, early this year. Yeah.
Yeah, the little couch to 5K where you're just doing it for the very most basic people. Y'all, he's literally sitting there going, Amber, I need you to run 1 minute. I might have, been breathing really hard, but I did it, because I mean, yes, I'm an athlete, but I've never been a runner. Okay. And I still went out there and I did the bare minimum. So it can be done, So I would tell people it's far scarier to not make the moves, to not make those decisions than it is to wait for your body to fall apart.
Yes.
And something I tell people all the time, I move because I can.
Ooh.
The opposite of being unable to move is a far worse picture. So I move simply because I'm afforded that opportunity because I can, and I always encourage people, make sure you do that.
The because I can part, there's a pro athlete, James Lawrence. He goes by Iron Cowboy James. Mm-hmm. I saw his video on YouTube. It was a short, like real brief documentary kind of. It was maybe 13 minutes. Mm-hmm. And this was his first world record that he set, where I think he did 50 full Ironman distance events in 50 days. One of those days he was mentioning was his hardest day ever. Mm-hmm. And he was pulling a kid. I don't know his ailment, but he had to be pulled in like a raft during his swim, like a carriage kind of thing for the bike ride, and then like a adult carriage for the run. And on the bike ride, something happened with the hitch of the trailer to the bike. And James Lawrence was saying that it was taxing him at that point. And if you're not familiar with full Ironman distance events, they're upwards of 14 hours, like on a good day, for pro athletes, maybe 10, 12. And I'm just making up figures. It might be longer, shorter than that. But somewhere past like the 8-hour mark. So it's a full day's work of activity. So he gets on a 112-mile bike ride. Something happens with the hitch and he's gassed. And he kept thinking to himself, is what he's saying, that I get to ride my bike. The kid behind me can't do it.
Yes.
I have to keep going because I get to. Like, I'm able to do it. So I have to keep going because the kid behind me can't do it. So there's no room for me to complain. So just, you said that hit that note.
It triggers something, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I mean, it's true. If you've ever encountered someone whose mobility is limited or they can't do the things, it makes you appreciate the things that you can do. And also to see people who maybe they struggle with their mobility, but even still, they get out there and they move, even when somebody who is fully body abled does not. Which, another segue, what would you say is the toughest, I guess, competition race or anything that you've ever been in? Have you ever had that moment where you're like, why did I sign up for this?
Yes. Two, actually. I got myself to the USAT Nationals in Cleveland, Ohio, maybe about 2018, 2019, might have been 2017, 2018, one of those.
And for the people who are not familiar, what is USAT Nationals?
That is USA Triathlon National Championships. So to get there.
So that means, y'all, he's going to be biking, swimming, and running.
All at the same time. One day. Yeah.
One day.
So to get there, you got to place, I want to say top 10% in your age group in an event throughout the year. You hit that mark or win a race, and
Mhm.
USA Triathlon invites you to nationals. So I get to nationals, and Cleveland is not as crisp and cold as I thought it would be. It's actually quite damn humid, almost like New Orleans. Wasn't ready for that.
Really?
At least at that time of the year, summertime. And you think I would have just been acclimated already because New Orleans is humid. There was kind of humid. It was rough. So I pull up to what is it? The race packet pickup where you go get your bib number and your timing chip and all your fun stuff. And I park the car, get out, and I hear like whoosh, whoosh. I'm like, what the hell is that? So I walk over, and it's the waves in Lake Erie smashing against the rocks. Like, I mean,
What you're about to
violently
swim in.
smashing against the rocks. And I'm thinking, there's no way we're swimming in that. That has got to calm down by tomorrow. They've looked at the forecast. They okayed it because why would they put us in that? I get there the next day. Nothing's changed. It's the most violent water I've ever been in at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm swimming and I'm going to catch water, and there's no water to catch because I'm at the crest of a wave. I'm up here, and there's nothing to catch right here.
What is catching water?
Just grabbing air, and then you just got to wait to go back down. It got to a point where I stopped and I just started treading just to get my bearings because the adrenaline's running, the water's insane, and I start treading water just to catch my breath a little bit, figure out what is happening. And
You're
I look
like, they
around.
didn't teach me this like, Heidi, you didn't teach me this.
But the Navy SEAL shit did. I'll get to that. So I look around, I'm treading water, and everybody's treading water. You just see heads bobbing and nobody's moving. Everybody's like, what is happening right now? Like it's bad.
Everybody's about to drown.
A lot of people getting pulled out by like the support boats and stuff. I make my way out of the water. I stopped trying to swim, and I did what I knew how to do, what I was trained to do with the Navy SEAL training. It's a stroke called the combat side stroke. And come to find out, it's perfect for triathlon. But whatever. That's my little secret. Don't take that.
It's on camera. The world knows.
I mean, the stroke is out there for anybody to do, but in the world of triathlon, people don't know how awesome it is. Anyway, fast forward, I get out the water, I get on a bike, and I see the Navy triathlon team out there. And I'm like, ooh, if I could keep up with them, I could, again, I'm always thinking forward. I could probably
why
apply.
aren't you on the Navy triathlete lawn team?
I know. So that's what I'm thinking here. I was like, oh my God, I forgot they had a team. So if I keep up with them, my times can match their times. I could apply to get on the Navy triathlon team, and that would be my full-time job. Holy shit, this is an amazing idea. So
wait a minute. This is like a full-time job. The Navy has a triathlon team, and they get paid to do it?
Yes.
You're kidding.
Yeah, exactly. No, I know.
They get paid to compete.
It's bananas. Yeah, so that was my thought. Keep up with them, apply to that. I got a new job. So I didn't keep up with them at all. Not even by a long shot. They left me in the dust as soon as I saw them.
Well, there goes that job.
They are professionals.
There goes that job. Now we know why you're not on the...
That's their job. That's what they get paid to do. They do. I don't want to say they do nothing else, but they train as a pro athlete would. So that didn't happen. I think I left my watch in transition after the swim, so I had nothing on the bike. So mentally, I'm all jacked up. The swim was insane. People are leaving me left and right on a bike. I get to the run. That's my zen spot. So I'm like, my feet on the ground. I can do this. And it got hot as shit. So it's sweltering hot. I'm just gassed. Mentally, I'm not there anymore. I'm at nationals, but I'm not performing like somebody at nationals should be in my head. So it was just a mental drain. So that was a rough day, and it was like a lot of things I wanted to happen didn't happen the way I wanted it to. So that was just mentally taxing.
Well, what's the thing that keeps you going when you're in a situation like that? What is the thing that keeps you going? Because, you could have very easily said, I'm done. Pull me out of the water. Meet y'all at the finish line. What is it in you or the principle you live by that says, no, finish this race?
It's hype or die, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
give it your all or don't bother. I bothered. I
Mm-hmm.
signed up. I drove my little car out with my bike on the back of it
Mm-hmm.
to Cleveland, Ohio. Got a hotel room. I'm there to do a thing. I came
Yeah.
for business.
Mm-hmm.
Even if I didn't, like you go to work sometimes and you might not put out your best product. It don't mean you quit your job. You know, it don't mean you just pack it up and go home. I mean, some might, but I stay to
Yes.
the end of the day and I clock out. You know what I mean? So I
Yeah.
showed up to do a thing. The swim was tough, but I'm gonna get me out the water. If I can't do that, I shouldn't have showed up in the first place. And some people see it differently.
Yeah.
That's just the way I see it. If I can't, if I can't finish a thing, I shouldn't have started it. And that goes back to honing in on your skills. You develop your craft to where you're not worried about certain things or along the way, things that little calamities that happen, hiccups or speed bumps throughout your day or your race, you
Mm-hmm.
learn from it. And if you can't learn from it, you're in the wrong business.
That's
Now, on the
true.
flip side, there's things that just happen.
Mm-hmm.
That same swim that was rough for me, somebody died in it. It was a
Oh my.
older gentleman. I forgot what age group he was, but I mean, he was a competitor. He got to
Yeah.
nationals, and they canceled the swim for Sunday because there was different distance races happening the day after ours. They
Mm-hmm.
canceled the swim the day after that because of the death that happened. So I mean, some things are unavoidable.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I try to train up to be able to handle the unknowns as best I can. So that's
Wow.
what gets me out of it.
Wow. That's so sad to hear.
It is. It is. And that kind of adds an air of I guess seriousness that you have to
Mm-hmm.
put towards the things you involve yourself in. Granted, not every hobby is that. It's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that serious, but
Yeah.
when I'm doing triathlon, I keep that in mind, very at the forefront of my mind, that I cannot make it out of the water. You know, that's
Mm-hmm.
a possibility.
Yeah.
The
Wha-
bike, anything can happen. I could fall, a car could hit
Yeah.
me, anything. So those things you have to have your situational awareness like turned on full blast for.
And I mean, to that point, there was a point when you actually could not swim. So I mean, did that motivate you at all during that learning process? Because you learned at what you said, 27. I mean, I was 5 years old when I took my first swim class. I went through minnows and then the sharks and all of that stuff at the YMCA. You didn't get the benefit of that. So did you ever go, this might be a
Uh,
problem?
no, I
It
mean,
never
I
crossed your
feel like
mind.
I got all the fundamentals I needed from
Mhm.
Heidi's class, Dr. Lovett. She prepped me like to the T on the fundamentals, and I never
Yeah.
had a fear of the water. I just didn't know what to do in the water. I literally went cliff diving a few times and just didn't know what to do once I landed in Mexico, Michigan. I did this stuff like I'm a jump, and had no
So
clue what
what?
to
Somebody
do.
have to pull you out?
But no, like I said earlier, I could get out the water. It was horrible. I didn't know how to swim. I could splash around until
I am so
uh,
glad I didn't know you then and then would have to make an emergency rescue
this would have been.
using my minnow skills from the YMCA.
So, so yeah, backtracking. That was a mentally draining race that took
Mhm.
a toll on me. New York City Marathon was the most physically demanding event I've
That just
ever done.
happened, didn't it? New York.
They did just have a pass on.
I
I
would
think it
say
was
I know one of my coworkers. She just ran in it. So
early November timeframe. I think is
yeah.
when they have it. So I get there and I didn't do enough race planning. I went there full on ego, not on training.
Mm.
And I just soon as it started, I'm flying. I'm doing like a 7:30 mile per minute per mile
Yeah, it's like
pace.
not today.
And I did that all the way up to the halfway point at the top of some bridge. I stopped and got water at an aid station. And in that moment, I drank my water and I said, oh no. And everything neck down, neck to my toes, cramped up
Mm-hmm.
for 13 more miles. I mean, cramped. It was freezing cold, kind of raining, cramped up. And if you don't know New York City Marathon, there's spectators from mile 1 to mile 26 and the point 2
Mm-hmm.
screaming. They are there for a party. So every time I stopped and try to just
Yeah.
massage my legs out or roll my shoulders, they're screaming and my name's on my bib. So it's like, come on, run. I'm like, bro, I just need a minute. Like, please stop. Like, I'm in the dark place right now. Like, please stop. Um, Before that,
Yeah.
I always thought I never knew what got people to cry at the finish line. I never experienced the emotion. I don't know where it comes from. Is it something hurting? Are they so happy? I don't know. The end of the New York City Marathon, as soon as my foot crossed the tape, I'm bawling, crying, like
You're
crying.
like, take this ugly picture.
All the emotions. Like I'm happy it's over. My
Uh-huh.
body's agonizing pain. It's still cold. All
Yeah.
kind of stuff. So those are the two toughest races.
So now that you've had like all of these trial and errors, and I tell people this is what has allowed me to help people with their health and wellness is that I've
Yeah,
already been through all the trial and error. In
yeah,
fact, I used to always tell Ron before we did this interview, if you're having issues with your camera, just ask me because I already know how to set it all up. But he kept trying to figure it out himself. I'm like, just ask me. I've already been there.
I'm
So
a
with that
fighter.
being said, you've already done all of the trial and errors. You've had the heart races. You had the great races. How do you prepare your team? Because correct me if I'm wrong. Hyperdie does have a few people who also compete in races. It's not just a group of people who get together and run around a
Correct.
circle.
Correct.
You do have a few people who go out and compete as well. So how do you, as the leader of that squad, get people prepared for their races?
A few different ways. One way I actually had a card, and I kind of stopped doing this because it can't be captured on a card. I used to have a card, like a business card size checklist of
Mhm.
everything you needed for, or most things you would need for a triathlon start. Everything you need
Gotcha.
for your bike, everything you need for your swim, everything you need for your run.
Mhm.
But now I just talk it through with folks. I tell them those same things, but not so much on a card because anything can happen. And it's one of those things where you have to have that conversation where be ready for anything to happen. You could have all the stuff and something still goes wrong. How do you deal with that? How do you stay in your race plan? Have a race plan. How are you going to swim? How are you going to bike? How are you going to run? That goes beyond pace. Are
Yes.
you going to take in nutrition? If so, when? Are you going to take in hydration? If so, when? How much? How much do you need? All those things you have to have a conversation about to have your best day, or at least getting you closer to the possibility of having your best race and your best day.
Indeed. And I think that's some universal advice right there. I mean, I played
Mhm.
soccer for 20 plus years, and there are all these little things that you're like, I didn't quite plan on that. I mean, I
Right.
remember being in college and we go to this school. It's an away game. We get to the away game and the frat houses were on the sidelines. They built a soccer field in the middle of these frat houses. And
Hmm.
these guys cursed us out for 90 minutes straight. And I'm like, how did y'all orchestrate the construction of this facility that these people would just have to sit on their porch and berate us for 90 minutes? It's like,
Right.
we didn't really plan for that. Or I look at Tiger Stadium and anybody who's ever gone to LSU to play a football game. I don't think you can prepare for those things.
No.
To a certain degree, you can't prepare for 100,000 plus
Yeah.
people telling you you're a tiger bait with a few expletives added on to that. Um, so you prepare, I think, as best as you can, but of course you have those situations you can't quite deal with.
Mhm.
But in that regard too, not everybody in your club is a racer. Not everybody is going to a race event. Can anybody join? Hey, I never run a day in my life. Can I jump into HDEC? Are y'all gonna look at me like this? How does that work?
You sure could. It's and I get that a lot. Like I got to get in shape before I come run with you guys, or before I come ride with you guys. No, you don't. Like it's there
Oh,
to
I
get
hear
in
that.
shape because the same things you're learning as a beginner coming in, entering the club. An experienced person could be learning the same thing on the very same day that you're taking in. Also, they might receive it in a different way because they're experienced and it's new to you, but it's for everybody.
I feel that though, because I know when I had a cleaning lady years back, I would always clean my place before the cleaning lady would come. Don't know why. I'm like, you paid her for
Because
this,
we
but
don't want to
why?
half-ass, right?
Yeah,
We don't want to
but I kind of
not
feel
put
like
our best foot forward.
if I paid to be in the club, I might as well start out from day one. And why wait? If I'm going to pay, I might as well go in there just however I am.
However you are, just like church, come as you are. Like that, and that's it's one of those things where it's kind of tough getting people, and that's that audience that I want, the people that think they can't do it. I've had a few, not even couch to 5K, couch to ultra marathoners, and I'm telling you, that's one of like those real like coachy, proud dad moment kind of things where I remember when you couldn't run half a mile and you were like me and you thought the mile was the long distance run and now you're doing 30, 40, 50-mile runs. Like seeing that transition that's everything. And that perpetuates it. It's like, see, like, I told you could do it. Now go tell everybody else that you can do this and how to do this and how you did this, because every story is unique and adds a different layer of the, yes, you can also,
Where do you think that comes from? Like, why are people so hesitant to jump into endurance sports? Why the hesitation, especially when you're talking about people of color? I don't see a lot of yous out there. I don't see a lot of people of color running the triathlons. It's not like y'all are on the posters. Or I should say we. Why am I saying y'all? We. Yeah.
Triathlon is unique because it adds that caveat of the swim in there. And I think we can say that at large, Black folk don't swim. And it's an unfortunate thing because we should. It's not only a sport or a hobby and activity. It's a life skill. If you fall in some water and you can't get out of it, that's a problem. Like if you think about it,
absolutely.
You're dead. At that point, you're dead if you don't know how to do it. So it's more than just a fitness activity or something fun to do in the summertime. It's a life skill. So with triathlon, I think we don't see diversity in sport because of the swim. And it shouldn't be scary. It shouldn't be so hard to get to that no one's doing it. And there's a lot of programs. I forgot the name of it, but there's one in Baton Rouge that's really popular, really big, that's getting people of color, all ethnicities, just into swimming and just getting comfortable with it, familiar with it, and introduced to it.
Now, I would argue, though, it's not just the swim, though. I think that the swim is the biggest part of it. But look, I went to high school, and the cross-country team was never full of Black people. we were running sprints.
Yeah.
We weren't exactly on the cross-country team unless you went to an all-Black school. Then maybe the other people on the squad were Black. But for the most part, we were running sprints. We were doing other field events. Nobody was really running cross-country. So what do you think are the other underlying reasons? Like, what would have to happen for us to get more, I think, people of color interested, not just in swimming, but endurance sports just in general?
I don't know. I've heard people say that's a white person sport. That's for white people. I don't even know what that means, to be honest. I don't. Maybe it's just a matter of representation. And it's kind of like what came first, the chicken or the egg. Like, how do you get folks in it if nobody's in it?
Yeah.
I've noticed in my years of doing this, the age demographic is skewed. So there's diversity in endurance sports, but it's at the it's at the like 50 and up age group. They're deep in it. But that young demographic is gone. And I don't know what that gap is. Somebody told me once before, it's the leisure time and leisure money. So to have money to do 5Ks every weekend and the time to do these events every weekend and train for these events to do them efficiently is the age gap. You got more of I'm almost out of my career. I'm retired from my career. I got time kind of thing. But I think that's excuses. I don't know what it is. I hope to find out, target it, grab it by its neck, and throw it right into endurance sports. Because I want that. I want us to see us out there more. There's not enough of it. And I think a lot of not only participating, I think that is missing on the event management side, race director roles. We don't have it.
I concur. As somebody who grew up playing soccer, I was so used to being the only Black kid on the team. I think the most Black people on my team, and I won't even say Black, I'll just say people of color. The most people of color on the team were when I got to college. I think it was like 3 or 4 of us. But before then, it just never had happened. And I think the organization or the way that soccer was structured in this country is that it's far too expensive to play soccer, because to get to an elite level, you got to play club soccer. It costs money to be part of a club.
Right.
And it's not like some of these other sports like basketball or baseball, where those sports are far cheaper to play than soccer was. So I don't know if you're having those same issues with endurance sports.
Yeah.
But for me, it was like a price thing, because more kids play soccer than any other sport. That's been proven, but not
Right.
kids of color. So
Yeah, that's something I noticed, and that's another conversation I have to have with people, especially just getting into triathlon, because it looks expensive. Because you go out to a
Yeah.
triathlon on any given day, and you see the $300, $400, $500 wetsuits, the tens of thousands of dollars for one bicycle, and then you got to run some shoes. So I mean, even that can get expensive. If you're getting like nice running shoes, that could be $200-$300. But I always tell people it doesn't. You don't need a lot to do a lot. All you need is some swim tights that you could go get from Walmart or Dick's Sporting Goods, $20. For the bike, all you need is 2 wheels and a frame. You can go to Walmart. My first bike was a GMC Denali from Walmart. GMC does not make bicycles. It was like a
I was
sticker.
going to say.
It was like a sticker
wait a
stuck on the
minute.
side of the bike. It moved.
No.
That's all I
Was it
needed.
a Huffy? What was it, a Huffy?
It was GMC
Swim?
Denali. It was it was a Walmart.
Wait, I thought you
sticker.
said you stuck the name on it, though.
No, it was like a sticker that they had. It was GMC Denali.
Oh, no. Come on, Walmart. I thought you stuck the Denali sticker on it. Come on, Walmart.
No. You
Now I'm going to have to Google this when I get off to figure out what is this Denali. I mean, I know they got Huffies, but that...
But even a Huffy, it'll do. As long as it's got 2 wheels,
Huffy.
air tubes, you can roll, you're good. And any running shoes.
My first bike
That's
was a
all
Huffy.
you really need. That's all you need.
And actually, I would argue the only thing you need is your 2 legs and yourself.
Well, I mean,
People in Africa are running barefoot.
Very true. I'm thinking
People
triathlon.
in Africa running barefoot. Get yourself together, get outside, and just move.
That's it.
Because again, I move because I can. Some people can't even afford the shoes you're wearing, and they're still running. They're still moving. They're still doing those things. So with that being said,
I've run in a pair of Crocs before, so you could do it in anything.
You can. I don't recommend it though, y'all, to wear any Crocs. But with that being said, Coach Ron, okay, because sometimes you don't put that out there. Like, you don't put people out here that you are a certified coach. You're not just some random person who just called yourself a coach. You're an actual coach. So what are the biggest things? You've now trained a lot of different people. What are the biggest mistakes that people make in regard to endurance sports? So not just talk about running or just swimming or just biking, but just endurance sports in general. What are the biggest mistakes that people make when they're getting started?
I think some biggest mistakes, not starting with the foundation first. And that means doing the slow work. And a lot of people, I think, feel like they can do more. And because of that, they skip the slow work. There's an 80-20 rule that we kind of go by, where 80% of your training is done at a lesser intensity. Not so much effort, because you want to put an effort towards everything you do, but a lesser intensity that's measured out by way of who the athlete is, what they're trying to train for, all that kind of stuff. 20% is done at a higher intensity. Everybody likes to flip that. I want to do all of my work at a hard intensity because I'm gonna race at a hard intensity, so I need all of it to hurt. You don't. And I'm gonna have a little small bit of training space that's gonna be comfortable and easy. Nope, flip it. So I think that's a huge mistake, is that people skip the easy stuff. Because it's actually hard to do the easy stuff. It's hard to run slow on purpose. It's hard to stay in the saddle and ride for a long time at an easy effort. It's hard to do those things. And it's hard to sit in the pool and do swim drills versus just doing sprints in a lane. That's tough
stuff. You got to start off as a minnow, people.
That's
why when you go to YMCA, the first ththing you become is a minnow. You don't become a shark until the end. You got to do the minnow type things first. So yeah, that makes perfect sense. And being as though I did go to Couch to 5K that you ran, I can attest to these things. This is how you start off. All right. So don't be intimidated about just jumping into an endurance club. I like to call it endurance club and not call it a run club
Me too.
because it's for everybody. But yeah, perfecting the small things, getting those small things out of the way. I think we live in a society where people also want instant gratification. They want to
Oh,
see the results now.
yeah.
And because of that, they don't have that that sense of waiting or that sense of building. I mean, look at how long it took you to go from astronaut to HDEC founder. That's a process, you
Yes.
know?
Yes, it
Everything
is.
is a maturation process that you have to be willing to do. But anyways, I just hijacked that question. Continue.
That's fine. That's no, it's really good points. I hear my son is outside the door screaming.
I love it.
No, it is a long game. And even if it's not necessarily a long event, you
Mhm.
have to be patient with yourself, with the process. Don't rush anything. Always have a plan. So I always say, plan your race, race your plan, and that can be replaced with anything.
Yeah.
Plan your ride and ride your plan your ride, ride your plan. I've made that mistake before, and I can say that very adamantly to people now because I've messed that up on my own. So now I can deliver that to people. Don't do what I did, and I tell them the whole
Mhm.
story of messing up a training ride.
Gotcha.
I forgot what I was saying. What did you ask
No,
me?
yeah, we were just talking about, you know, the small advice you would give to people who are just getting started, like those big mistakes that they made. So we already talked about the fact that you got to start slow. You know,
Hmm.
we don't want to just jump right into the fire. We're not trying to do this whole baptism by fire thing. Um, and then running the race that you're planning for.
Uh-huh.
But in closing, because don't want to keep you from your son too long, but if you had, what is the greatest piece of advice anybody has ever given you?
Remember to have fun. Oh, that could be a whole different segment, and I mean that literally
Expound.
and
Come on.
figuratively. If you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong, right?
Well, how do you
If
make it fun?
you got to find that in yourself, you have to find the joy in it. And I
Mhm.
always ask people, and I ask them a few times before I get to the point in training, like how you feeling, and I
Mm.
ask that when I see that they're dying, they're dripping sweat, and I say, "How you feeling?" I feel horrible. I was like, and I ask again later, "How you feeling?" I still feel horrible. And days go by, and training periods go by where I then give in and explain that. Like you have to, what I call trick fuck your mind. You have to tell yourself
You
in
are
those
going to make
difficult
me
moments.
bleep so many things out of this interview.
It's
Continue.
the people want this, so so you have to trick your mind in those hardest of moments to say this is okay. I'm
Mm.
dealing with stress, but it's like you're training your mind to accept that kind of stress. And you're saying this is okay, don't freak out. You're telling that to
Yeah.
your entire body, metaphysically, physically, all the things. And after a while, this becomes normal. This really hard run and my legs are on fire becomes normal. And then you smile. And then you feel good because you're smiling while you're doing this hard thing. And then I ask, how you feeling? You say, you know what? I'm all right. The run's not done and I'm not done. Like, I'm still here.
Yeah.
I'm still in it. We're still going. Let's go. How many more miles? I don't care.
Yes.
And that you start building that mentality. And that's that mental toughness that people kind
Also,
of sometimes ask about. Like, how do you get mentally tough? It can't be
yeah.
given to you. You got to go do tough shit and tell yourself it's not tough. And it's a little white lie you tell yourself, but you have
But
to make it
it's
real.
programming. It
Yeah.
is programming. I always say, you will whatever you believe in your core and that you put a significant amount of thought into will eventually harden into fact.
Mm-hmm.
So you might call it a white lie, but if you tell yourself that thing enough times, eventually it becomes the truth. It
Yes.
becomes the thing that your guiding light. It becomes the thing that you do because I've done some hard things as well, not the triathlon, but I did get into bodybuilding. And I remember when I was 60 pounds heavier, when I would sit there on the treadmill going, I am a 120 pound what I used to tell myself. I used to tell myself this thing every day. I'm on the treadmill because I hated running. So I'm on the treadmill trying to get rid of this weight. Like I am a lean, mean 120-pound machine. And I would tell myself that over and over again. Was the work hard? Yes. Was it necessarily fun in the moment? Not always. But when I got on that stage and I looked back and I said, the 40 pounds are gone. I feel great. I look great. I love what I am seeing. Then there comes the joy.
Yeah.
You know, you may not be in the most joyful place in the middle of that mile that you're running, that you feel like everything's about to be puked up and on the ground. But there is that sort of gratification that comes when you look back over the journey and go, I didn't think I could do that, but I did do that. And I also think you find joy because like Ron and his club, they like to have these events. And I thoroughly enjoyed being able to throw a pie in his face at the last event where he volunteered to let people
didn't volunteer,
you know, throw it. So, you know, you find joy in all kinds of different places and things. It's not just when you're training. You got all these people you can hang out with. So
yeah, and what you were saying, that's something else I like to share is thoughts lead to words, words lead to actions. Constant, and I always tell people, watch what you say, watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Write the story.
People say, run so slow. You don't. You run at your pace because you're slow as somebody else is fast. And the more you say slow, 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 you'll never do more than what you say and think and speak and do. You know, like you'll never do more than that because
it becomes your story.
Yeah.
It becomes your story. Saying something over and over and over and over again will become your story. I tell people when I used to say I'm a lean 120-pound machine, that was my mantra before I signed up for the bodybuilding competition. So when the bodybuilding competition came along, actually, no, I used to say 125-pound machine. I needed to be closer to like 115 when I got on that stage. So when I got to 125, I actually stopped losing weight. I was working my tail off because I had convinced my brain that I was a lean 125 machine. And literally, and people don't believe this, but it's the truth. The brain cells said, you have reached the target. You told me I was 125 pounds. You are that. And so I had to change the mantra. I took out 125 and I just said, I'm a lean fat burning machine. And then all of a sudden things started going again. And people don't realize how big of a role that the brain plays in your training.
Been a testament to it happening. It's real. People don't believe. Yeah, people don't believe it. That's the story.
That's a whole nother show.
Yeah, right. The other side of the having fun and enjoying it is know when to put it down and just go enjoy. Like go enjoy the kids outside the door screaming. If you miss a bike ride, it's not the end of the world. If you miss a run, it's not the end of the world. Your training plan isn't over. Your race is still going to happen. You're still going to feel good. So remember.
Do you train with your kids?
I do. They love hate it. This is very hard to read. They love hate it. If they're doing it on their own, like if they initiate it, it's wonderful. If I say, come on, let's go run. No, they hate it. Absolute hate.
I'm like, Dad, why?
Yeah.
Why? I get it. No, I used to have a dad like that. We used to, he wanted me to be a softball player so bad. And it just was not my ministry. I just wasn't, I don't have the best eyesight. And so he would just get out there and hit balls. He's like, catch the ball, Amber. I'm like, I can't see it. And, back then, you didn't have like disposable contacts. You got like one contact that lasted you the whole year. If you lost that one, you were kind of screwed. So I'm like, Dad, I literally cannot see the ball. At least with soccer, the ball is this big. I can kind of see the fuzziness there. But I'm like, I don't think this is my ministry. But another point I wanted to know, you're obviously a very motivated person. What motivates you? Like, how do you motivate a person who's already motivated? What is the piece of advice that you've ever gotten in your life? Can't be your piece of advice, but advice that you've been given that you're like, yes, this is what drives me.
Ooh, that's tough.
We know you ain't just wake up like this. Something got up in you.
No, I did.
You did not.
I didn't.
Everybody has an origin story.
So the don't half-ass piece of hyper die, the or die part, is
Don't
actually from
play
my
it.
dad. He told me that as a kid to now, and it's usually about cleaning up things in the garage. I'd say I was done cleaning up, and it wasn't. And he'd say, "Don't half-ass it." That probably might be the whole origin of hyper dying. I'm realizing it right now. Don't half-ass. If you're gonna do it. Don't half-ass it. And
Well,
that was something that stuck with me. Just don't give not 100%. Like, why would you give not 100% of you into anything? That especially as somebody knows that you're a part of or that you had your hands on. Why do that? Like, why give you 90%? I'm not going to give you 90% of this interview. Hey, everybody, this is our 17th time trying to film this because we wanted to get it right. I wanted to give my 100, everyone to give her 100. That's the true story.
Yeah, because like the last time he came on the show, he got all corporate on me. Like, yes,
I was
and
a
I'm
little
like, you
tight.
don't talk like this. You
I was
be ignorant. Like, act like you always act. But
Oh,
but this makes sense though, because some of the greatest people in the world all started in a garage. So it makes sense
man,
that your
I had
story
some lessons
starts
in
in
that
a
garage.
garage. I mean, Apple started in a garage.
Yeah.
What was the other one? Starting a garage. So it all started up because you didn't want to clean the goddamn garage.
It was
And now here we are.
yeah, there was a few more garage lessons. You're right. A lot happened in that garage. Now that I think about it, I'll share those
And now
stories.
you're working out in your garage.
Right. Uh, Another piece of advice: elementary school. There was morning assembly. We would all be lined up in our classes, and the principal would make us recite "good, better, best." Never let it rest until my good gets better and my better gets best.
You and
Now I
every
make my
other
children
elementary
recite
school.
because that's. I mean, it caught up with me in my adult life. I was like, man, I remember they used to make us say this thing, and in the moment, it had no weight to it.
Mm-hmm.
But in my adult life, it's being recalled. I'm like, wait a minute, that was pretty profound to make us recite as a school every morning before school started. It might be something to that. And then just thinking of the words of it is the same mindset of giving your all. Like, I think we kind of live in a society where saying it's not enough is kind of bad.
Yeah.
You get a 92 and to say you didn't get 100, it's kind of it comes off as being a dick.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not. That's reality. You didn't get 100.
Mm-hmm.
Why is that a bad thing? Why not strive for the 110 every single time? Like, why win a race? I want to win a race overall, not just my age group. Like, I want all of it.
Which brings me to another point. When we sat down and I said, what do you want for HDEC? And I think you told me, I just want to have X amount of people. And I'm like, really, Ron? What is it that you really want for HDEC? Yeah. So what's the next hill you're about to climb? What is it that you want to do next? The next epic thing that you're after?
For me personally, or for the club?
I mean, you are the club. I mean, I don't see it separate.
The people are the club. The people are the club. Oh. It's not. It doesn't exist without the people. And I mean that wholeheartedly. So I think it does branch off.
Well, both. What do you want for both?
For the club, I think I stopped playing small potatoes, and I opened up my language because our thoughts turn to words, our words turn to actions. And I do want more. I want it to be a global brand, globally recognized in running, triathlon, and cycling. Swimming, I don't go to swim events, so I can't lie and say I want this to be globally known as a swim club. I don't. Swimming is a part of triathlon. If you want to find us swimming, find us at a triathlon. I want it to be a brand that is exposed in events. When you come to this club, you're going to find diversity, not just by the club members, but by who we affiliate with. Our kits are going to be made by diverse companies. All of our affiliates for nutrition, hydration, and any supplementation are going to come from diverse companies. That's what I want for it. And obviously, I want it to grow. I want more people to have this mindset into everything they do, to where they feel like the reality is outside of sport. If I give myself to something, career, family, anything else, I'm going to give 110%, and I'm going to endure. That way I'm an endurer in anything I do in life. It doesn't have to be running, swimming, cycling, and once that mindset gets turned over and is delivered to people, then it becomes all about running and nothing about running. And people kind of adopt that and hold on to it. I think that's what I want.
Absolutely. It's that trickle down effect. It's the idea that you came out here to learn this, but in the process, you learn how to endure through every facet of life. And we all go through things that you do have to find a way to endure through. I know I had 2 or 3 years where I spent with my dad while he was ill. That was a different life lesson. We all have our phases in life. You had your phase of, wanting to be an astronaut, it not working out. And to your point earlier, the tears that came with that. It's not like it was all joy all the time, but being able to endure through all of those things, that's such a huge, huge lesson. And that's something that you learn in athletics. I know my very first job out of college, I asked my boss why he hired me. And he said, I didn't hire you because you had any experience, because you didn't have any. I hired you because you was an athlete. Because I knew that you would come to work every day and you would do what you need to do because you've been forged by that particular skill set. So yeah, there's so much that goes into, I don't want to say athlete, because I don't think you need to be an athlete just to move, but there's so much that goes into getting active and learning active and the benefits that come from that. I mean, I've said in previous episodes, when I got well and I lost weight, I got better with my finances. I got better with habits that had nothing to do with me losing weight.
Yeah.
Because it's this trickle down effect that when you learn how to do this, you'll see improvements everywhere.
Yeah.
So before we sign off, because I know I want to let you get back to your kids today, what is one piece of advice or nugget that you'd like to leave the audience with today?
Piece of advice.
And it doesn't have to be advice. It could be a statement. It could be anything. A pinky in the brain.
Something I started this club with was the motto: prepare, perform, progress. Again, it's got everything to do with running, nothing to do with running. You prepare yourself, your craft, your life. You perform. You take whatever you prepared, the preparation that you went through, and do it. You do a thing. You live your life. You work at your career. You work towards your family, and then you progress. And all of them, it's all cyclical. Like once you do one, you move to the next. You move to the next. You move to the next, and it always comes back around. Once you progress, you have to start over again. Start preparing for the next thing. Once you make it here, you got to keep going to the next thing and the next thing. So I think prepare, perform, progress is what I'll leave everybody with.
Absolutely. And actually, that's not what we're going to leave everybody with, because I think it's important to tell people, how do they join the club?
What? You can go right now to members.hdenduranceclub.com and get into our Mighty Network. What's that?
I'm going to put it on the screen just
right
for
here.
those of you.
I'm kidding. It might not be right there, but
it might be down there.
members.hdenduranceclub.com. You can join our Mighty Networks. The conversation's already happening right there. We have a lot of stuff lined up for 2023, so stay tuned. If you're on Instagram, we're also there at HD Endurance Club. Easy to find. If you want to shoot a message and you don't want it to be in social media and all that kind of stuff, you can email us at hdenduranceclub@gmail.com.
Easy enough. Well, thank you so much for joining me. As he said earlier, I've been trying to get this man on the show for quite some time. I'm so glad that we finally got it on tape. Let us know what you think about today's episode in the comments below. I want you to tell me about your big, audacious goal. What is the really big movement goal that you want to realize for yourself? You never know when Coach Rawn might jump into the comments and answer the questions that you have regarding endurance sports. Because look, I'm an athlete, but I'm not the endurance woman. He is. So ask Coach Rawn your questions in the comments below. All right. And again, thank you so much for watching another episode of Fit for Show, the podcast that is dedicated to giving you everything you need to live a mentally fit, physically fit, and spiritually fit life.
We hope you enjoyed the show. Make sure to like, rate, and review. And we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, you can find us on the website at fitforshow.com, on Facebook and Instagram at Fit for Show. We'll see you next time. Stay focused.